this is a suit that was filed in court, but it's not something that it's not something that changes the law, and I don't think that we should put much much stock in what this judge said.
Okay, well, but we did have a Judge Singleton that sort of was saying that she wanted to see some action by the Department of Health before September 29th, and she was going to rule on making them do something. And of course, then it got taken away from her, believe it or not, and given to another.
Yeah, that was it. Larry, that had to do with a new judge being added, and so there was a whole shakeup in the whole docket. All cases got reassigned everywhere. That's what happened in this instance. Even if the judge hadn't said what she said, it's not. She wasn't going to. Judge Singleton wasn't going to necessarily order the Department of Health to create the supply. The Department of Health has said they're going to license more producers. We want them to do that. We think that's very important, and can't happen soon enough. And we're in this rules process still,
right?
And that's really what we need to focus on, and where our attention should go. The fact that this court case came up, it's not. It's like I said, it's not a Supreme Court ruling. It's not particularly substantive ruling. It's just a statement from a judge. Yeah.
Okay.
But what I really wanted to talk about today was how important it is to vote in this election and the marijuana measures that are on the ballot.
Okay, yes, please. Tell us about, I guess it's Santa Fe counties and Bernalillo counties here in New Mexico, right?
Yep. So voters in both Santa Fe and Bernalillo counties have the opportunity to vote on an advisory question that would signal our county commissioners in both the separate counties that we want marijuana decriminalized. This is a modest proposal. It's talking about an ounce or less of marijuana, and it really is something that that is already enacted in the city of Santa Fe, because our city councilors saw how supportive the citizenry was of the measure, and so they just voted it in right away. But the county commissioners then took it upon themselves to create this advisory question, which would give them more leeway and more support if they were to move on this at a countywide level. Similarly, Bernalillo, they had enough support to get their measure on the ballot as well. However, Mayor Berry vetoed their ballot question, and so the county commissioners down there also decided that they wanted an advisory question. They want to hear from the electorate, they want to hear from the people, and they want to know how we feel about marijuana decriminalization.
So are the laws, if it's passed and put, for Santa Fe County, is it exactly written the same as the city of Santa Fe, or are there differences?
So these are advisory questions. This won't actually change the law.
Uh-huh.
This will signal to the commissioners that there is support for it, and then they will pass something. I imagine it will be very similar to what is already law in the city of Santa Fe, but we won't know what that looks like until they actually introduce something.
Okay, now as far as the law in Santa Fe is concerned, can you tell us what that is, and do you know of any incidences since it was enacted where people were caught with some cannabis and fined or whatever? Can you tell us what those fines are and what the rules are? Because it's sort of at the discretion, I believe, of the arresting officer whether to how to handle it.
Yeah, the officer is able to decide whether they're going to charge under city or state ordinances, and so if they charge under the city ordinance, now it would be a fine that would be just a written citation, very similar to a parking ticket. The fine would be no more than $50, and there would be no jail time. For the state statute has higher fines, and you can end up in jail. The city also has, along with the possession of marijuana, they also decriminalized possession of the paraphernalia.
Mm-hmm.
So if a cop finds a pipe or something with you as well, that that won't be charged if they're charging you under the city ordinance. Uh,
I don't know if
and
you.
it also,
Go ahead. Go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say.
Okay, well,
Go ahead. Go ahead, Jess.
the
Please.
last the last thing I was going to say is it also makes it lowest law enforcement priority. So if anything else is going on in the city, the cops are supposed to be paying attention to that and not addressing possession of marijuana at all.
So, have you heard of any numbers about any incidences on how many people maybe have been fined or under this new regulation since its inception recently?
We don't really have those numbers yet. It takes a really long time to get any kind of reported data. So we'll have to see how things shake out in the wash. But this is a step forward. This is the way that we have these conversations and begin to move toward something more rational and more reasonable. The end of prohibition.
I've waited 45, almost 46 years for all this to happen, and it wasn't fun for the last 40 or so. And organizations like the DPA, the Drug Policy Alliance, that you're with, and that are just doing such great work all over the country. It's just exciting that, and I'm proud to live in the city of Santa Fe that has done this, and I thank you. And everybody else that worked on this to get this going. It means a lot to me personally. I was handing out normal flyers in California when I was about 21 or 22 years old when they opened up an office on Sunset Boulevard in LA, and we were trying to decriminalize then. And actually in 1976, Governor Jerry Brown, who is a governor now, he decriminalized back then, and for some reason it got turned around. I don't know what happened, and now he's not even our friend anymore, although Gavin Newsom is. Can you enlighten me? Are you up on what's happening with DPA and the other states? I know that Florida is very important for medical, and in the last couple of days it wasn't looking so good, and of course Oregon and Alaska on legalization. Can you update us on what's happening around the country on Tuesday?
Sure. So there is a measure, as you mentioned, there's 5 measures. One is a medical marijuana ballot measure in Florida. That's Amendment 2.
Amendment 2, yes.
Yeah, I know it's 2. I just can never remember what the preceding word is. But that's number 2 on their ballot, and it looks pretty good. There's been a considerable amount of oppositional advertising, so we're really hopeful that they'll be able to pull it out down there and be the first southern state to have a medical cannabis program. That would be incredible. Up the seaboard a little bit further in the east, the Washington, D.C. District of Columbia has a measure for legalization on their ballot as well. Huge criminal justice issue up there. The racial disparities are just outrageous, and that would be a really interesting place to have this move forward, obviously being our nation's capital. We've also got legalization measures in the state of Oregon. That's Measure 91. And in the state of Alaska, that's also a number 2. And both of those states are looking pretty good. There's if you want to help get out the vote in the next few days, go to the Prop 91 website for Oregon, and you might be able to make some phone calls, do some phone banking. Alaska's looking pretty good. They've had marijuana has been decriminalized there for quite a while, and since '78, they were one of the first states to decriminalize. There's over 17 states that have already passed decriminalization, and so now hopefully legalization will happen up there for those folks. And then there's some other measures like Prop 47 in California that would change the sentencing structure and help fund schools instead of prisons. that's a big one that we're supporting and that the ACLU is really big behind.
So everybody should call their relatives and friends in these states and make sure they get out and vote, because this is an off-year election, and a lot of people just don't go. So it's real important, everybody out there, to get your friends and relatives in Florida and D.C. and California and Oregon and Alaska and all these places to get out and vote. It's really important. It's going to save a lot of lives. Medically and incarceratedly, because we don't need the incarceration anymore for this plant. It's ridiculous. Jessica, Val and I talked a minute or two about the federal court this week that had a lot of people testifying about the use of marijuana as medicine. And I think the federal government is coming around. Do you think that we're around the corner from changing the Schedule 1?
I don't know how far we are to the corner, but certainly this is a very important week. It was a really wonderful set of witnesses, so I've heard, and the prosecution was not able to really handle them. They just made the prosecution look like a fool, is basically what I've heard. Dr. Carl Hart, who's a neuropsychopharmacologist from Columbia University and has done addiction studies for the last 17 years. He was out there and really, really made his point very clear. Brian Began, a veteran from Maine that helped get medical cannabis passed in Maine, was also out there, and it was just it sounds like it was a remarkable set of witnesses. So hopefully we're moving towards what we know needs to happen, and getting this this plant out of the Controlled Substances Act and into our medicine cabinet and out of the criminal justice system completely.
Absolutely.
But I wanted to say that on Tuesday, if anyone is having trouble getting to the polls, if you don't drive, if you're homebound, if you need help getting there, I wanted to offer that people will be helping shuttle individuals to their polling places. Polls are open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Between the hours of 8 and 5, you can reach someone at Drug Policy Alliance's office. The phone number for the office is 505-983-3277. Give us a call, and we'll see how we can help you get to the polls. If you need it, we are here to help people get there and use their voice.
And of course, the Drug Policy Alliance is in many, many states, and I'm assuming that no matter what state you're in, if there's a DPA, you can call them and maybe get some information about getting a ride. Maybe not
so much, actually. Okay. Drug Policy Alliance is only in 5 states.
What are those 5 states?
The 5 states are California, New Mexico, Colorado, New Jersey, and New York, and we have a national affairs office in Washington, D.C. as well.
Fantastic, Jessica. Go ahead.
I'm just trying to think who to guide people towards. For individual states, I really don't know. I mean, they should check out their League of Women Voters website. There might be a little bit more information there.
Good idea. I thank Jessica Gelay and Val Hubbard for all your hard work for over the years, and of course for coming on tonight to tell people what's up. And it's really important that everybody gets out and vote. And of course, here in New Mexico, it's really important that Susie hits the road, Jack, and doesn't she come back. Thank you very much, Jessica. Appreciate it. And let's get rid of Susie. She should hit the road. Susie. Susie. Susie.
The medical marijuana. The medical marijuana. Radio show.
Thank you very much, everybody, for listening tonight. Get out and vote, please. Let's get rid of Susie. Let's pass everything in all the other states and here. Thank you, Rachel Walenta, Thursday night, 6 to 8:30 in Albuquerque. Women Grow. Get out there. Thank you, Val, again, and Jessica. Val Hubbard, Jessica Gelay. And we'll be back next week. And, of course, thank you to my two radio mentors. Thank you for your inspiration. They both have the initials of HS. Can you guess who they are? I don't know. If you have any questions, suggestions for guests, info@mmjradio.com. info@mmjradio.com. And don't forget my little show for canawanabuy.com. Wednesdays with Larawana. That's Wednesdays with Larawana on canawanabuy.com. For all of your cannabis needs, whether you're a dispensary, a patient, or a head shop, canawanabuy.com. Wednesdays for Larawana, every Wednesday. Have a good week. Vote. Get Susie out.
Shalom. Shalom. Good night, everybody. Feel well. Get rid of Susie.
Let me tell you a little bit about the Indo Expo. It's going to be on the 15th and 16th at the Denver Mart in Denver, Colorado. And a new Amsterdam is located in the Wild West, and Colorado is the leader in this new billion-dollar industry. The Indo Expo show looks to support the growth of the industry both locally and nationally by bringing together industry professionals from around the country. Seminars, networking events, and classes will be offered, encouraging attendees to exchange ideas, information, and network. In addition, the show looks to support the local community and assist in connecting people by holding a public job fair Sunday, November 16th. The Indo Expo is a full-spectrum event with exhibitors featuring cultivation, new technologies, smoke, lifestyle, education, industrial hemp, and industry services. Hundreds of brands and product lines will be showcased, representing industries-related apparel, jewelry, smoke accessories, equipment supplies, and tools for harvesting and processing, lighting, nutrients, and more. Companies and services such as colleges, security firms, and real estate firms, evaluation and consulting services, as well as the nonprofit and educational sector will be represented. Normal, Grow Big Supply Company, Weed Maps, and Rocky Mountain Hemp Association, Oaksterdam University, and Wholesale Harvest Supply, and several more have all signed on as partners. Once again, the Indo Expo show will be November 15th and 16th at the Denver Mart. Visit www.indoexpoco.com for additional details.